a regulatory analyst at ZMUni Compliance Centre. I'm pleased to be your speaker for today's session, where we will be taking a closer look at the latest regulatory developments in China's food sector in the first half of 2025. So before we begin, just a quick note, we will not include a QA session. However, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave your message in the chat box or contact us by email later. We will make sure to follow up with you after the session. So today I'll be guiding you through several key sections to help you stay informed and prepared for regulatory developments in China's food sector. And here is a quick overview of what I'll cover. Firstly, a snapshot of China's food sector performance in the first half of 2025. In March, several food-related associations jointly released the white paper on food consumption trends in China. And the white paper highlighted that China's policy initiatives have played a key role in driving consumption upgrades, with the food industry at the forefront of this transformation. In 2024, China's food market reached a total value of RMB 11.71 trillion, representing a year-on-year growth of 3.75%. And on the consumer side, the Chinese food industry continues to benefit from solid and sustained demand. The report also identified 6 major consumption trends shaping China's food industry in 2025. And now it's a quick look for some recent updates in food regulations and national standards. Here I have highlighted some important ones that I'll explain it in the late slides. Besides the information I have listed here, in the first half of 2025, there are over 60 draft standards open for comments. Now let's move on to the regulatory updates with the 3 new foods approval updates. In the first half of 2025, China's National Health Commission, NHC, issued 2 official announcements approving several new food ingredients and new varieties of food additives. So when we talk about new food ingredient in China, it refers to the following items that have no traditional eating habits in China. And in the first half, a total of 7 food ingredients were reviewed by the China National Center for Food Safety Risk, which we called CIFSA, and officially approved as new food ingredient. In addition, during the first half, the NHC released 3 announcements for public comment, covering 8 new food ingredients that have undergone safety technical review by the CIFSA. Based on the approval and the public consultations released so far, polyphenol and anthocyanin has emerged as particularly active categories in recent years. Another notable ingredient to watch is D-cyclose, which is currently open for comment, and if it approved, it will be the first approved D-cyclose in China. So in the first half of 2025, a total of 14 new food additives were approved by CIFSA following technical review. This includes 8 newly approved additives, 5 existing additives with expanded usage scopes, and 1 additive with added quality specification requirements. These approvals cover a diverse range of categories, including food additives, as meat preparation, flavoring substance, food nutritional fortification substance. Besides, NHC also issued 3 top notices seeking for public comments on 20 new food additives. Among the approved and the pending cases, we've seen a high volume of applications involving HMO, such as 2FL, 3FL. So this is largely because these ingredients are produced using different genetically modified microorganisms. As a result, even the final compound is the same ingredient. Each application must undergo a separate safety evaluation based on the specific production strain and process used by the applicants. Next, I'd like to show you some data about the non-compliant list of imported food. So from January to May 2025, after 3 consecutive months of decline, the figure has shown a significant rebound for the first time in April, while some analysts attribute this shift to external factors such as the easing of U.S. tariff policies. In terms of origin, the top 5 countries and the regions with the highest number of rejected food products in 2025 were the United States with 241 batches, and Japan ranked second. Next is Hong Kong, SAR, China, and the fourth one is Spain. Now let's looking at the food categories. For the types of food, meat products accounted for the largest share of rejections. Other commonly rejected categories included alcohol, beverage, snacks, aquatic products, and grain products. As for the reasons behind this non-compliant imported food, the most common issues included non-compliance with the national food standards and a non-compliant label. Also, the discrepancy between cargo and certificates. Other reasons included the issues with GACC registration. So every month, ZMUni Compliance Centre publishes articles on our website about the non-compliant list of imported food. We also share common rejection cases, like beverage with caffeine levels exceeding national standards, or compressed candies containing excessive or unauthorized nutritional fortifiers, along with practical compliance tips. So if you are interested, feel free to subscribe to our newsletter for monthly updates and insights on the latest food regulations. So next part, we will focus on a detailed analysis of the key updates regarding food labeling. In March, China released 3 important regulations and standards related to food labeling, namely administrative measures for supervision of food labeling and 2 national food standards, GB 7718/2025 and GB 28050/2025. One is about the labeling of prepackaged food, and the other is the general rules for nutrition labeling of prepackaged food. So these 3 documents introduce numerous new requirements for food labeling that demand our close attention. And however, the 3 new regulations also provide a transition period for nearly 2 years. All three documents will come into effect starting from March 16, 2027. So the two documents, the administrative measures and the GB 7718/2025, working together to guide the food label management, but each has a different focus. And GB 7718 focuses on the technical requirements for food labeling, such as the ingredient list and the digital labels, also the principles for food claims. However, the administrative measures focus on management requirements for food labeling, such as the font style and size, also the positions, the color, the net content, and the production license number. Next, let's take a closer look at the specific details of each document. So the administrative measures for supervision of food labeling refers to, so it points out that food labeling refers to the text, symbols, numbers, graphics, and other descriptions displayed on prepackaged food labels, instruction menus, and on the containers or outer packaging, which provide consumers with information about food and its producers or operators. And the whole document includes 8 chapters. So what's new in these measures? Number one, the scope has been expanded to include food sales and catering service enterprises. Number two, the new regulation introduced more detailed rules, such as the labels must now be clear, accurate, and standardized, including key information such as the product name, product date, shelf life, and the manufacturer. Number three, the new regulation provides clear guidance compared to the previous version. It points out that tables must comply with relevant laws and standards and not easily removable. It should be placed in a prominent position on the packaging for easy visibility. And number four, the new regulation strengthens oversight of labeling practicals and addresses key implementation challenges. Now let's look at the forbidden claims or content on food labeling. Firstly is the claims that are related to disease prevention or treatment. And number two, false or misleading descriptions made through deception, exaggeration, or other means. Also, the statements that contradicted scientific knowledge, violate public order and good customs, or promote false. Number four is the labels that stating exclusive supplied to or only supply for government agencies, the military, or similar entities. So beside the 5 points, we also should know that companies should know that health function efficacy claims are only permitted on labeling for approved health foods. Next is about the Article 16 of the measures points out how should the food name be labeled on prepackaged food. So for foods made from animal-derived ingredients, if the name indicates only one type of animal, for example, beef, all such ingredients must come exclusively from that animal. If the name includes 2 or more types, for example, beef and chicken, they must be listed in the name in descending order of their amounts used. And food procedures and operators selling prepackaged food online must display a key label information on the main sales page. This includes the product name, net content, ingredient list, shelf life, product standard code, storage conditions, and so on. Except for dynamic details such as the production date and the label information shown on the sales page must be consistent with the actual label on the product being sold. Now let's look at the National Standard GB 7718/2025. So one important change is the introducing for 8 types of allergenic substance, including cereal containing gluten, fishes, peanuts, soybeans, milk, and nuts. This substance should be indicated in the ingredient list, or the prompt information should be marked at a position adjacent to the ingredient list when being introduced during production and processing, such as when sharing a workshop or production line. And however, exemptions are existing for highly processed products like refined soybean oil, from which allergenic proteins have been removed, may be exempt from allergen labeling. And trend 2 is about the dates and storage. For product, the term best before date has been updated, allowing consumers to directly see the best time to consume the product without needing to calculate it based on the production date and shelf life. And also, the format of the dates has been standardized to display follow the order of year, month, and the day, making the information more intuitive. Also, to help guide consumers in using food reasonable after purchase and to reduce food waste, a use-by date can be indicated based on the characteristics and processing of the food. Another key change relates to the restrictions on claims. Is when words such as free of and does not contain are used, the content of corresponding ingredient or component should be 0. For example, a claim such as 0 sucrose is permitted only if it meets the conditions outlined in the national food standards for sugar-free products. However, if a product contains no sucrose but includes other sugars such as fructose and still claims 0 sucrose, this could mislead consumers, especially those with specific dietary needs, and potentially harm their health. In addition, terms like free of or does not contain are prohibited in the following cases, including food additives, contaminants, substances that are not allowed to be added to food as stipulated in the laws, regulations, and standards, also the substance that should not exist in food. And also expressions such as not added, not used, and similar phrases are also forbidden. The absence of a particular additive does not necessarily imply a better safety or nutritional value of the food product. So under no circumstance should food products use such claims to suggest that no additives makes them inherently healthier. Now, next is about the use of image on the packaging label. So real photos of ingredients can only be used if these ingredients are actually present in the product. For example, placing a real strawberry image on the packaging is only compliant if the product contains real strawberries. If the product only uses strawberry flavoring, such as strawberry essence, then using a real photo is not allowed. And one important point that companies should know is images generated by AI or other technologies that are visually indistinguishable from real ingredient photos must be treated the same as real photos and are subjected to the same labeling rules. So to expand the ways food labels are presented and support innovation in the food industry while making it easier for consumers to read labels, digital labeling formats and requirements have been introduced. And food enterprises may voluntarily choose to use digital labels. When digital labels are used, they must comply with relevant standards. Additionally, the digital label identification code on the packaging must be clearly marked nearby with term digital label or similar indications to identify its nature. All right, in part 3, I'll share more about the special foods in China. On March 19, 2025, China issued the Opinions on Further Strengthening Whole Chain Food Safety Regulations. So the document addresses regulatory gaps across the entire food supply chain in China and outlines 2021 specific measures across 8 key areas aimed at improving coordinated supervision mechanisms. And the opinions specifically emphasize the need to improve registration and the licensing system for special foods. Moreover, SAMR, the State Administration of Market Regulation of China, and the NHC are required to enhance collaboration by conducting technical coordination and joint expert reviews for special foods, and to improve the management of health claims and functional claims for health foods in a coordinated manner. Now let's look at the food for special medical purpose. So this kind of food products refers to specially formulated foods designed to meet the specific nutritional needs of individuals with restricted food intake, impaired digestion and absorption. So here I listed the regulations and the standards published in the first half of 2025 for the food for special medical purpose. We've seen a series of updates. The overall goal is to make the registration process more efficient, support product innovation, and improve access, especially for patients with special nutritional needs. It allows that the government is moving. It shows that the government is moving toward a more practical and supportive approach to FSMP regulations. And as of May 31, 2025, a total of 263 food for special medical purposes products have been approved. Among them, 227 are domestically produced, accounting for about 86%, while imported products number only 36, highlighting a clear trend toward domestic leadership in this category of foods. So as shown in this bar chart, the number of approved FSMP products has increased significantly since 2023 and nearly 60% of all approvals to date were granted during the 2 years of 2023 and 2024. Data through the end of May 2025 suggests that this growth trend is likely to continue. Overall, the registration and approval process for FSMP products is accelerating. Next, let's look at some updates for the health foods in China, starting with some data. So since 2018, no imported health food requiring registration have been approved in China. And as of June 5, a total of 142 new approvals and transfer certificates have been issued in 2025 for registered health food products. The main dosage forms remain capsule tablets. However, dosage forms resembling ordinary foods, such as candies, beverages, are also appearing in the market. So the snackification of dosage forms has swept through the health food industry. Emerging formats such as probiotic chocolates and liver support jellies are growing rapidly popularity. Traditional snack formats such as candies, jellies are increasingly being used as carriers for functional foods. About the functional claims for health foods, on April 24, 2025, China issued a public consultation on the draft catalog of permitted health claims for health foods aids in maintaining joint health. So this document marks the first new health function proposed to be included in the official health claim catalog since the issuance of the detailed rules on the implementation for technical evaluation of new functions and health foods with new functions. And the newly proposed function consists of several specific benefits, including alleviating joint pain and stiffness, reducing joint swelling, maintaining the health of joint cartilage, and sustaining the well-being of bone joints. These sub-functions are designed to provide a comprehensive approach to joint health support, addressing common concerns among consumers. As previously mentioned, in mid-March, China SAMR issued several regulations and standards for food labeling. And here the chapter 3 of the administrative measures focuses on labeling requirements for special foods, include specific provisions for house foods, such as labels and inserts must display the house food logo, registration or filing number, and include a designated warning statement area. Meanwhile, GB 28050 has updated health claims for nutrients like vitamins and minerals in Appendix D. This terminology now serves as a key reference for the function claim catalog of nutrient supplement health foods. So in the first half of 2025, eight recommended national standards related to the determination of ingredients in health foods were issued. Among them, 5 will come into effect on July 1st, and the remaining 3 will take effect on August 1st. In addition, 7 other recommended national standards covering raw materials and testing methods for health foods have been released for public comment. Now let's look at the cross-border e-commerce for health foods. So currently, many overseas health foods brands prefer to export to China via CBEC channels. This approach helps them avoid the high regulatory threshold and the lengthy approval process associated with the Blue Hat registration for health foods. From a business perspective, CBEC also offers benefits such as reduced tax burden and lower operational costs, while allowing brands to quick test market respond and better understand China's consumer preference. However, there have been numerous enforcement cases involving non-compliance in the sales of health foods through CBEC channels. Once penalized, companies may face significant fines, along with long-lasting impacts on their business operations and brand reputations. So here are some frequently mentioned situations. Number 1 is that many CBEC sellers exaggerate product efficacy in their advertisements using language that implies disease prevention or treatment, such as prevents cancer, lower blood pressure. So according to the Chinese regulations and laws, food products are strictly prohibited from making drug-related claims. And number 2, some CBEC health foods have been found to contain prohibited substances, excessive levels of heavy metals, or microbial contaminations. These quality issues pose health risks to consumers and may result in product recalls or bans. Moreover, Chinese customs periodically update import requirements and issue consumer safety alerts, often targeting products containing drug-like ingredients or high-risk substances, such as silibins and NMN. Okay, now for the last part, we will talk about some regulatory trends. One important trend in China's food sector is the synthetic biology in food ingredient and additive. So since September 2024, China has officially opened the submission pathways for food ingredient and additives produced via synthetic biology. The current market competition remains limited, and existing policies offer a degree of protection to early applicants, making this a strategic time to apply for new food ingredients and new varieties of food additives in China. Besides, the administrative measures for the safety review of new food ingredients are being revised with potential improvements, including classification-based management and streamlined documentation requirements, creating a more favorable environment for industry players. So here I've included a flowchart on this page illustrating the application procedure for new food ingredients in China. The whole timeline for process from dossier preparation to the final decision from NHC is about 2 to 4 years. As for the new food additives, it may cost 1 to 2 years. And we ZMUni, with many years of expertise, could assist companies to do the application for both the new food ingredients and the new food additives. And if any deferment happens, you could rely on us with expertise in dealing with such situations. All right, let's look at another favorable trend for overseas exporters. The potential specification, the potential streamline of GACC registration process. On January 3, 2025, the General Administration of Customs of China released the draft regulation for public comment, and under the latest draft for public comments possess a key change, reduce a reduction in the number of product categories requiring official recommendations. So under the current regulation, Decree number 248, a total of 18 categories requires official recommendation for registration. However, in the draft, this number is reduced to 11 categories. The following categories are no longer included in the official recommendation lists: bee products, edible oils and fats, fresh and dehydrated vegetables and dried beans, seasonings, unroasted coffee beans and coca beans, special dietary foods and health foods. So back in March 2025, I also hosted another webinar focusing specifically on GACC registration for overseas food manufacturers. And if you are interested, feel free to contact us after today's webinar to receive the former webinar materials. All right, trend 3 is about stricter regulation of the CBEC. On March 19, China issued the opinions on further strengthening whole chain food safety regulation, a major reform initiative in China's food safety regulatory landscape. And the opinions highlighted the need to strengthening joint risk prevention and control mechanism for imported food, with a particular focus on regulatory coordination in key areas. GACC, together with other relevant authorities, will tighten safety responsibilities and the requirements related to the storage of imported food, enhancing the supervision and the management during this stage. In addition, the GACC will cooperate with the Ministry of Commerce to develop a negative list for CBEC retail imported foods, aiming to improve risk control and further refine the regulatory framework governing food imports through the CBEC channels. So in the field of health foods, since the time when the Ministry of Health of China oversaw regulatory responsibilities, on-site inspections of health foods were not part of the registration process. However, under supervision of the China National Medical Products Administration (NMPA), on-site inspections gradually became a component of the registration system. So currently, SAMR implements a dual-track system of registration and filing of health foods with on-site inspections conducted based on review requirements. And on May 14, the Center for Food Evaluation under China SAMR publicly released for the first time a notice specifically addressing on-site inspections for health foods registration. Until then, such information had not been publicly available. So this move signals the government's concrete efforts to accelerate the rollout of on-site inspections policies and enhance the overall efficiency of the health food approval systems. It also sends a positive signal to overseas health food exporters pursuing market entry via the general trade rather than the CBEC channels. All right, so before we wrap up, I would like to take a moment to introduce our companies. ZMUni, we are founded in 2018 and provide cosmetics and food regulatory services. So we're based in China and serving the world. For food compliance, we offer one-stop services including ingredient entry, new food ingredients, food additives, feed ingredients, and product entry, compliance reviews for food products, health foods registration, and import and export clearance. And our services coverage includes China, the European Union, the United States, Brazil, Thailand, and other regions. Also, we provide tailored consulting services. So, sorry for the delay. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for attending this webinar, and I hope the insights I shared will be valuable for your work and help you navigate Chinese market smoothly. So if you have any questions or would like to discuss further, feel free to reach out to us via email or LinkedIn anytime. We are quite active on LinkedIn and where we regularly share the latest regulatory updates. So be sure to follow ZMUni to stay informed. Before you go, we'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to complete our webinar survey. Your feedback help us improve further sessions. So thank you again and see you next time.